Welcome to class 8th. Let's learn history textbook chapter 1 our past 3 part 1 for social science. Let me start with very simple questions. My first question to you is, when were you born? Or what is your date of birth? You may think of respective date, month of that particular year. I hope everybody knows his or her birthday. My second question is, how do you come to know about it? Means, how did you come to know about date of birth? The answer is maybe your mother or father or your grandparents might have told you, or with the help of celebrations they did like that. My third question is, where were you born? So you may think of your native birthplace. It may be a village, it may be a town, or it may be a city. So I want to get you notice about these three particular words: how, when, and where. So let's begin with the chapter number 1. The chapter is how, when, and where. When we think with respect to the textbook, here how means how important are date, how periodization is done, and what are the sources of history in this particular period. Now here when means time, that is starting from 18th century onwards till date today. Third word is where. Where means about Indian subcontinent. So in short, we are talking about our Indian subcontinent from 18th century onwards till date. How do we come to know about the modern history of India? So let's know all these things one by one. So first question is, how important are date? Now history was synonymous with dates. Whenever we talk about history, students used to talk about dates. Some of you may be happy, some of you may not be happy. Those who are unable to remember the dates, they might have think that it is a boring subject. Anyway, we can take an example of a ruler. That's true from medieval India, because you have already gone through that part of the history. Here we are going to talk about a ruler, his many things in related to life, and with relate to the date. Now my first question is, name the last powerful Mughal emperor, or who was the last powerful Mughal emperor? Obviously answer is well known to you. Aurangzeb. Mughal emperor Aurangzeb was the last powerful Mughal emperor. Next question is, when did he died? So he died in the year 1707. Now where is Aurangzeb's tomb? This answer may not be known to most of the students, but it's in Maharashtra near Aurangabad city. The place is Khultabad. See, when we talk of dates and we think about an important ruler, we think about when did he come to the throne, when he got married, when he became father, when he fought the important battles, or the activities he undertook. And same way we think about when did he die. So this chronology or this timeline gives us an insight to the ruler's life. So this basically depends on the historians also, and this question is debated whether dates are very much important or not. So is such a conception true, or we can think of, is this is the idea a real or correct one? We have to move forward to find the answer. Now, after dates, we can think of history is about changes that occur over time. History is about changes that occur in a period of time, in a stretch of time, in a span of time, or we can think of time which cannot be contained. Same way, history is about findings out how things were in the past and how things have changed. Now, when we talk about the past, we think about then. If we talk about present, we think of now. In other words, we can say before and after how things were changed. So, history is also about the processes and things that happened over a period of time. Now, when we were talking about ruler or an emperor or a king, we can think of dates. But when we think about the changes, we think about the findings, we think about the processes, then we have to take a period into an account. Now we have one photograph. Here we have Brahmins offering the Shastras to Britannia, the symbol of British power. And James Reynolds was the first man to produce in the year 1782. Now, Robert Clive asked him to do so, and being an enthusiast, he took it as a challenge because he knew that this process of establishing British Empire in India is important and requires map. So, he took up this challenge, and in a process, he took the first map and gave it to the rulers. Now, this is about one process. Same way, let's relate our school study to the outside world. Here we have an example of a train. So, as I said, we are talking about a process. We are talking about history is also about the processes. So, living in the world, we do not always ask historical questions. Nobody asks, certainly, about what we see around us. Looking out of the window of the train, you may ask yourselves, when were railways built and how did people travel long distances before the age of railways? You have gone through the nomadic tribes, Alauddin Khalji. These nomads used to transport the goods from one place to another. After the invent and starting of the railways, the bulk or the goods were transported by the railways. And most of the people used to travel either on foot or in bullock cart or on horse cart or by another means driven by the domestic animals. So we have a question as when were railways built? So this again gives us a total process. It was not a single day in which the railways were built. We have one example. First train between Mumbai to Thane in the year 1853. Again we have a date, that is 16th April 1853. The first train between Mumbai, that is Bombay, to Thane, around 32 to 34 kilometers distance was covered. Again we have a photo of a train, and that's at railway station. The name is given as Ballard Pier. It's actually Mumbai Port Trust, and you can see Britishers especially Lord Dalhousie, he started this trade in the year 1853. So they took some development work also, and in the meantime we only know when did it start. We don't know about the whole process. So this is the second example we have. We have another example that is about an ordinary drink. We came to know in the medieval period tea and coffee were brought during medieval period. So when we think of the tea, nobody thinks when did people begin to drink tea or coffee in India. Moreover, in India we did not think when people of India could taste. They might not have got in a one day, it's over a period. So certainly we take things for granted as if what we see has always been in the world we inhabit. We ask questions that actually are historical. So watching someone sip a cup of tea at roadside tea stall, you may wonder. So again, when you think of a cup of tea, you should think of the historical question and also of the process in which the tea became popular drink in India. Let me take an example of Lipton tea. So we have here a calendar in which the third son of Queen Victoria of Britain, Prince Arthur, who was given the title of Duke of Connaught, is seen on horse, and at the background we have the wall of the Indian palace. Now this tea shows how the tea was popular among the royals or the rich people, and they want to popularize this beverage in India. So we move further. We will talk about which dates. As I said, we were talking about the king, rulers, emperors. Here, when we talk about British history, in the histories written by British historians in India, the rule of each Governor General was important. We have a picture of first Governor General, is Warren Hastings. He became Governor General in the year 1773. Same way, we have a photo of Lord Mountbatten. He was the last Viceroy of India. In between these two Governor General, there were many Governor Generals, such as we can take for example Wellesley, Lord Wellesley, Lord Curzon, Lord Ripon, and many more. All their activities, all their policies, all their development works, or the battle they fought in India, all these things are associated with their life. So the dates become important with the Governor General or the rule of the Governor General. We can move further. The life of British Governor General became vital because we focus on it. Similarly, if we change focus and begin to look at the activities of different group and classes in Indian society within the format of the history of Governor Generals, then a new set of dates will become more important for us to know. Suppose we think of Indian farmers, Indian tribes, and many more merchants, traders. We can think of new dates and they will become important for us. So move forward. Let's go to how do we periodize. In 1817, James Mill, a Scottish economist and a political philosopher, published a massive 3-volume work, A History of British India. In this, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim, and British. Now, when we think of history, we are not talking about the characteristics of that time. we are not talking about the central features, and we are also not talking about the change from one period to the another one. So James Mill, he talked about the religion of the ruler, and there is no other characteristic he has taken of during that time. So we know the rulers changed their faith, some of them changed their belief, and they accepted another religion also. Same way, we do not know about the other features of that period. For example, we can talk of new ideas, we can talk of the activities being done by other people. There is no such thing to show the change from one period to the next. He want to show that British were literate, educated and civilized, and they want to bring India into enlightenment. But we all know religious changes took place during medieval period. Not all the rulers were tyrant, not autocratic, and they were having certain feelings, human feelings and human characteristics also. When we talk from the Indian point of view, historians divide Indian history into three parts: ancient, medieval and modern. Again, here also we have some problem, but we can think that everything is brought into these three periods. We can think of the changes, we can think of the beliefs, ideas, etc. So sometimes when we think, historians says British history in India should be termed as colonial. Now, when Britishers came to India, they took control slowly, the economic activities, they changed the social structure, and they also changed the cultural values, and they empowered the India. So when the subjugation of one country by another leads to political, economic, social and cultural change, we term this process as colonial. How do we come to know? British administration produced records, and these records were very important source of information for historians. As these were written official records of the British administration, they took immense care by noting a plan, a policy or an idea, and after preparing they kept it safe, they thought about it, they debated about it, and later on they preserved these important documents or the official records and the letters sent by the officials to the provincial administrators at record rooms and specialized institutions like archives and museums. You all know we have Rashtrapati Bhavan, and near Rashtrapati Bhavan, close to Rashtrapati Bhavan, we have the National Archives as well as National Museum. So National Archive of India came up in the year 1920s. So we can know about the official details of the Britishers. Britishers also took up surveys. Now survey became important because they thought, if we want to have a good administration, we should know the country. And for this effective administration, they have completed surveys. By the early 19th century, detailed surveys were carried out to map the entire country. The effort was to know the flora, the fauna, the soil quality, the cropping pattern, etc. All seem necessary to administer the region. You know about the counting of the tigers right now. You know about the botanical gardens. We have an example in the textbook about custard apple, how they ask the local artist to draw the leaves and the fruit, just to know the local crops being produced in that area. So here we have mapping and survey operations in progress in Bengal, a drawing by James Prinsep in the year 1832. So this picture also shows you the use of tripod, we call it theodolite, we have this measuring tape, we have this range rod. So they used different instruments or tools to survey that particular land. You can compare this picture with today's items or instruments or tools being used for survey purpose. We also know about the archaeological survey of India. We have second thing, that is census. From the end of the 19th century, census operations were held every 10 years to know the number of people in all the provinces of India. This year also we are going to undertake the census to know the population data of India for the year 2020. We move further. We came to know about the official records, record rooms, museums, archives. Now here we want to know what official records did not tell. Now we have this, the history experienced and lived by the tribals and the peasants, the workers in the mines or the poor on the streets. Yet we can know the history of them when you will read this in this book from other sources. We can know and understand about other people and their actions in the country from diaries of people, accounts of pilgrims and travelers, autobiographies of important personalities, popular booklets sold in the local bazaars, newspaper. We have one example from Bengal newspaper, Samachar Darpan. One widow, suffering of widow spinner, is being given. Ideas of leaders and reformers. We have Jyotirao Phule in the book Gulamgiri. We have Urdu poet Mir Taqi Mir and also Mirza Ghalib, and novelists such as Munshi Premchand, who gave us depth of the people living in the country and about their ideas and feelings. At last I am going to take one example. This is one of the rebels of 1857, image with different captions. Now you have to be careful when you look at this particular picture. There are different sources, one from police reports and another one from Indian revolutionaries. Now both are giving a different information. So you have to be careful when you are going through this part of history. So as I said, the name of the book is Our Pasts in plural. So it gives us information about different people, and in the medieval period, also in the modern period, they were having a different experience, whether it's a farmer or the king, whether they were Britishers or the Indian people. All gives us different things, and they lived in a different way as we have. Now, let me evaluate what we have gone through. My first question is, what is colonial? When the subjugation of one country by another leads to political, economic, social and cultural changes, this process is known as colonial. So one country is India and another one is Britishers. They change the political, economic, social and cultural life of the India. Second question is, who was Warren Hastings? So the answer is well known, the first Governor General of India in the year 1773. And my last question is, how did the British preserve official documents? Answer is very clear. The British preserve official documents in the following way. They set up record rooms at village tahsils, commissioner, collectorate and at provincial headquarters. They also set up this archives, means a place where all official documents were stored. They also set up museums, and we have an example of National Museum at New Delhi. So this is how we have. Thank you very much.